Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Boss Hijabi-preneur podcast.
Yay.
Halima here. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, yes, yes. So let me get back to these comments here because normally people are like, Assalamu alaikum. But welcome to the Boss Hijabi-preneur podcast. This is episode 67 with Jannah Bayyan, Mothers, How to Bloom Where You're Planted. So today's episode is for the Boss Hijabi-preneurs who are also moms of younger children who do not necessarily know that they have another role besides Umi or mom. Okay. These women are also juggling full-time jobs, are active in their community, and are also wives, and whatever else we've managed to pile on their plates. So, without further ado, I'm so excited to have this next guest.
Yay.
He has a special place in my heart, mashallah. So, welcome, 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 um, Jannah Bayyan. How are you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. Thank you.
I'm so excited for this because I feel like, I'm like, woman, hear me roar, talking about business and all that kind of stuff. Most people don't know I'm a mom, right? They
Right.
don't know I have, an adult child and, a teenager, right?
Right.
So when I say, oh, yeah, I have to, whatever, my children, they're like, oh, you do have children that you have to go and take care of. So I wanted to do this episode for those women, for those of us who are also mothers, maybe aspiring mothers as well. How do we
Mhm.
juggle all of these roles, inshallah, in our life? So how do we make time for these many roles and goals that we have? And so, please, Jenna, I want you to tell us a little bit more about Pretty Life of a Mother, right? And I think there was a name, was there like a name switch? It was like Pretty Life of a Muslim or Pretty Life of a
At
Mother.
first, it was pretty light. Yep. Yep.
I want you to tell us a little bit about that and why you transitioned, and then tell us about what it is now, which is the Pretty Life of a
Okay.
Mother, inshallah.
So at first, I did start with Pretty Life of a Muslima. And I was gun ho because at that time that was, my world. The world of the Muslima, right? Because I think I was just kind of getting back into, when you have children, you kind of lose focus and you lose that focus in salat. You kind of, you're just focused on the children. And so I was just really getting back into that world. And, so that was my world. And then I realized that it wasn't as inclusive as I had initially intended it to be. I speak to everyone. What I do is for everyone. It's not just for Muslims. And at the end of the day, as a Muslima stepping into that role, that's dawah. And that's for everyone. It's a reminder for Muslimas, and it's dawah for people who are not Muslim. So I just felt it was necessary it was time to transition into the Pretty Life of a Mother. And that's really the role that I find myself in. That's the number one role right there.
And so tell us a little bit more about, Pretty Life of a Mother. Where is it? Where did it start?
Mhm.
So, we kind of got the backstory of the name change, but where did it start? Where is it now? And where do you see it heading, inshallah?
So the Pretty Life of a Mother, it's I hate to say, like, I don't want to sound cliche, but it is a lifestyle brand, right? And it's a lifestyle brand that's being built to help support women, help, push women to their boundaries and push women to their limits. And then even when they get to those limits, we push them a little bit more, right? You go to the next step, right? So that's just really what the Pretty Life of a Mother is all about. It was my own journey as a mom, as a Muslima, as, a working mother. And, I lost a little bit of myself. And it was that journey in finding myself and finding meaning in the little things. I'll tell you a funny story. So the other day, I was getting ready for work and I had bought some new mascara, the Idol mascara. And I was like, I'm wearing this to work. And when I finally got to work and everything, I went through my whole day and my student was like, "You have a mascara?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I never wear anything like that to work. But at that day, that moment, it was just necessary. It was necessary. And so those are the type of things, when a woman remembers herself in those little moments. And I am trying to provide opportunities for women to do that for themselves. Where'd you go? Are you here? Oh, there you go.
I am here. I wanted to give you your,
Oh, no.
your own, space there. Just speaking of, right?
Oh,
So
mashallah.
you said a mouthful in like a short, amount of time, and this is speaking to one beautiful platform. I think that we need your platform is necessary, right? How many times are we running back and forth to doctor's appointments? As you were talking, I was remembering when my kids were young, and I was thinking about the doctor's appointments. Where's my doctor's appointment?
Right.
I done scheduled 17 different doctor's appointments for the
Right.
kids, but I may have neglected, myself.
Right.
So I think that, it's important, you're reminding us to, remember ourselves,
Right.
right? That
Absolutely.
mascara, sis, I can so relate. Yes.
Today
Like
is necessary.
that today, that gave me that boost, that reminded me, and what did it take you? 2 minutes maybe to put that
Yeah.
mascara on?
But it's
But
the energy that you get from those moments. Yesterday, I had an appointment at the chiropractor, and I haven't been to the doctor. It's sad. It's really sad. And I'm like, no, I'm going. And then afterwards, I'm like, you know what? Let me go pick up my glasses because I can't see. And I've been neglecting picking out. Let me go do that today. And you know what? Let me go do that. And I'm just like, it was necessary. It was
Mhm.
necessary. And no, today is different. Today is Kids Day. I'm taking a little bit of time to be here with, your audience. But today is for the children. Like I literally, every single child I've given something to today. So it's just about finding those opportunities. And we have the pretty kit, and the pretty kit is an opportunity. Woo! It's an opportunity. You go, it takes 5 minutes to order, right? You go, you purchase your pretty kit, and then 3 days later, you've probably forgotten about it. And it comes in the mail, and it's literally things to treat yourself, things for you to feel beautiful, things for you to take care of your edges, things for you to take care of your teeth, things for you to take care of, or, just to look pretty or to smell good or to make your home smell good. It's whatever is necessary at that time. And I think it's just, I think it's a really great initiative. And I hope, inshallah, Allah places barakah in it and it takes off. Oh, she's gonna go.
I
I'm
mean, I
always
mean,
like
I
in the
mean,
zone, and then when I come back,
listen,
I'm like,
girl,
where'd
I'm
she
here.
go?
I'm here. I'm here. I so the pretty kit to me, like we've talked about this. So you've been doing this pretty kit for not last year or the year before, 4 years, right? So
Yeah,
this pretty kit is something that's been around for a while. And for me, it's necessary. Women need to feel beautiful. Women also need like we've kind of gone away from this receiving a letter in the mail
right.
or receiving a handwritten note in the mail. I'm sorry, but I need those things.
Absolutely.
One of my best friends, right? My best friend in the whole wide world. We've been friends for 42 years, right? We are
Wow.
the same age. We've been friends for 42 years, alhamdulillah. And you know what she sent me? She sent me a journal. When I tell you, maybe it cost her $4,
Right.
you know what I mean, from Amazon, and she sent it to me. But that journal is priceless because it
Absolutely.
allows me, it was for me, and it allows me to put my thoughts down on paper and to have that time, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes that I'm spending writing in it's my time. And
It's
so
yours.
it's mine. It belongs to me. That journal belongs to me. The thoughts in there belong to me. So to me, that's what your kit offers. And
And
like
isn't
you
that
said,
wonderful?
go
You
ahead.
have somebody in your life that knows this about you and remembered you. Like it's just such a mercy. My students, when we came back from break, they walked into my class. There's four of them. They walked into my class, which is five of them, and they had four pink bags, like shopping bags. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, what's going on? And it was nothing but just pink stuff. And they just like, we listen to you when you're talking and we know you love. And I'm just like sitting there, tears. And it's just such a mercy to have. And sometimes you have to be that for yourself. And that's what the pretty kid represents. Be that to yourself. You know what you like, get it.
And know that you're deserving of it, because
Absolutely.
how much do these kits cost?
They are $50.
Exactly. So
Regardless of what's in them.
$50.
And the contents always exceed $50. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah wa mashallah, right? But how many women say $50, I have to get my kid this,
Yeah.
or I have to do this. $50 is like, oh man, I can't spend that on myself.
Yeah.
And no, you're worth the investment.
You are.
And and the advice that men that I know give, men that are imams that give, right? This was advice when I was married. This is advice that I was given. And it was, when you take care of her, when when you take care of the wife, when you take care of the woman, she is then able to pour out into the family. When she is out of whack,
The whole house.
this
The whole house.
on it. Because my next question was, how do you take or make, right? So sometimes I know me, and sometimes it's not make, and sometimes it's not scheduled. Sometimes it's taking. I can't handle your fire. I can't do what you're doing.
Right.
I'm taking this. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Yep.
So how do you take or make time for each of your roles outside of being an entrepreneur?
Well, you have to be tapped in. First of all, you have to know the weather, and I mean the weather in your home. You have to know the weather. If you're married, you need to know, what's the deal with him? What's going on with him? You have to know what's going on with your children. You have to be tapped in, because that's the only way. That's your gauge to let you know, okay, it's okay. No, the house is not going to catch on fire if I decide to take a trip to the library and sit in the quiet room for 2 hours by myself. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Some people need, I'm a writer, by nature. And so sometimes I need a quiet space, and I'm going to go to the library. But first I'm going to check in. I know that nothing is going to, fall apart, and I'm out. And it was Dr. Brock. I don't know if you guys know him, but he said he had gave me some really great advice one day. He said, you're trying to hold up everything and keeping it from falling apart, and sometimes you just have to let it. And that is the advice I'm going to give to everyone. Sometimes you have to just kind of let go. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and take care of you. And that's very necessary, because the only place you can go after everything falls apart is up. But if you keep trying to juggle, the chaos of whatever's going on, eventually something's going to fall, and you may not forgive yourself. But if you kind of just let go of everything and reset, hit the reset button, you can start over. As long as Allah gives you air in your lungs, right? He woke you up this morning. As long as he woke you up this morning, you have an opportunity to make it right. And so you have to be checked in. All of that to say, you have to be checked in. You have to know the weather. Me personally, I assess. Like, for example, going into the kids' rooms, I notice, every day, and I'm talking about my big kids, my big sons. Every day I'm complaining to them about their room being a mess. Every day I'm complaining to them, you gotta fold your clothes up. Well, you know what? When they went away, I went in there and we hit the reset button on their room. I cleaned up their room. I folded their clothes. I did their laundry. I made their beds. So now when they come back, they know the standard, and maybe we can start again. And sometimes it's just knowing the weather. Maybe it was just too much clutter for them. Maybe they couldn't see, the end result. So I had to help them. And that's what a parent, and I use that same philosophy in teaching, right? You're a facilitator, but sometimes you have to step in and model the behavior that you want to see happen. So, that's the long and short of it.
Mashallah, you're getting a lot of hearts from that
Oh,
particular point, mashallah, there. And, I see it, you know what I mean? And, yes, sometimes mommy, mom has to come in and step in. And you know what I love that you said, and I think we all need to give her some snaps, for this is know the weather.
Mhm.
SubhanAllah, that's about you, that's about your children, that's about your spouse, right? And we're called the Rabatul Bayt, right? So the queens
Yes.
of the home, right?
Yes.
I mean, while you were talking, that is literally what the concept that was coming, to my mind. It's not just about cooking and cleaning,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. You're a
Girl,
domestic engineer. I had to tell my students this, that I have them doing resumes in my creative writing class, and they're doing resumes. And she was like, "Well, I help out around the house." I said, "Okay, well, you're a domestic engineer's assistant." Like, I just want them to get into that language, understanding that it's not just mom is a domestic engineer. Like, you making this happen. You are making this happen. And so, it's important to know what's going on. If you're a manager at a job, you have to know what's going on with all of your employees. You have to know the weather. You got to know who called out today. You got to know what kind of coverage you have. You have to know everybody's schedules, everybody's breaks. You have to know what's going on in the store, what needs to be like, and that's a job. That's and your home is probably 20 times more complicated, especially when you have, small children in different developmental stages, so you have to know, you have to check in, you have to approach it as a, I don't want to say job, but as a uh like you're a manager, right? Like you're a supervisor at a job. You have to know what's going on.
I love that. On that last point that you were talking about, you don't want to go into it like a job, but when we think about going into marriage from an Islamic perspective, we have a contract that happens in that marriage. So just
Listen,
think about that from a business
it's a
perspective.
job.
Speak on it. Yes, yes,
It's a
yes.
job. Wait, hold
Hmm.
on. This can be upheld in the court of law. A contract can be upheld in the court of law. Contract supersedes everything. So as Muslims, if it's that serious, that's the seriousness of it, right? And there's even an ayah in the Quran where, don't go into anything. You have to write a contract, make sure you transcribe everything, have a contract, and have witnesses. This is for major acts of business. So you need a contract with yourself. If you are the domestic engineer of your home, you need to have a contract with yourself. And by contract with yourself, I mean today, these are my reminders. These are the things that I'm going to do. This is my schedule today. You know what? I just don't have the energy to get out of bed today. I'm going to figure out how to, work from my bed. Figure out how to, I'm going to employ someone else in the home to, figure out how to do certain things. We are going to order pizza tonight. We're going to do this. Or you know what? I'm feeling great. Tonight is movie night for the family. Like, you have to know the weather, and you have to know you, and you got to be checked in.
I love it. I'm gonna share this quick story because that's a great reminder. So this was back when I worked, in corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a babysitter, and she happened to her place of business was actually right across the street,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
it was, oh, listen, that was
See,
from a
Allah's
law,
mercy in
like,
the little things.
listen,
Listen.
okay. And so, I would drop my daughter off 7:30, and then I would be on my way, fight traffic, and get to work, right? And one day, I came home early, and normally I pick up my daughter between 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I think it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Right? We had gone to a conference or something, and I was back early.
Mm-hmm.
And I called. I always call, "Hey, I'll be there, in 10 minutes." So this way, my daughter's ready. She's walking out the door, and
Right.
I can, just pick her up. So I call. Do you know what the babysitter said to me? She was like, "Why?" She was like, "Why don't you go home for the next 3.5 hours and do something for yourself?"
Right. Take a nap.
That concept was so foreign to me. I think, my son was already older. He was like 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then her, she was like 2 years old. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, to myself, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do for these
'Cause I'm a
hours?
mom and I
I'm
gotta
a
get the
mom
baby.
and I got to get the baby, and I'm shortchanging my daughter by not picking her
But
up, as if she knew. that I was home. Only
And
one
she's
knew I
gonna
was
be
home was
straight,
me.
right? And she's gonna be straight. And she's gonna be straight because that was the setup that Allah gave you anyway. She's right across the street. You're good. So I mean, it's very important. But those are the type of mercies. Those are the moments, and I think every mother, I think what you said is very, very poignant. Like those are the moments when you give that gratitude, when you realize, subhanallah, like Allah gave me, a babysitter right across the street from where I live. Like I can go home, I can chill right up until 5 minutes before I gotta be there. Like, like that's part of the mercy, oh, subhanallah, I gotta run the kids around, but my husband went and he put gas in the car last night. I got a full tank, like I'm good. I don't have to stop and get gas. I can drop here. It's just the little mercies, those little mercies that we have to be aware of to give gratitude.
MashaAllah, that's a perfect segue. So, what's it like having the additional layers? So, working a full-time job, this is your scenario, and this may be this used to be my scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and this may be many women's scenario out there. So, what's it like having the additional layers? Working a full-time job, being a mother, you are actually building a masjid community.
MashaAllah.
May Allah reward you.
I
Ameen.
mean,
And, from what I see, some great things are being said about what you're building, and it's still in its
inshallah,
infancy.
inshallah.
Still it's within you're still within the first year of, this, masjid community concept, all that good kind of stuff, right? And then on top of it, so that's still not your stuff, right? Growing a brand. All of this is happening at the same time. And I'm sure there are other things that are going on too, but those are the ones that are apparent. So those are the ones that I named. How complicated is it? Looky, you just had to take a breath, right?
Listen,
It's amazing when you hear it out loud.
it's scary. It's scary because I know that nothing happens without Allah's. Is a hadith that and Aisha asked the Prophet ﷺ a question, and he responded to her. He said, Allah is the only one who facilitates ease. So if you pray for anything, pray for ease. And so, that's been my dua, and one of my duas, and I have another one that I'll share with you. But that's one of my main, every day you just pray for ease, pray for ease. But it's sort of like, speaking to your question, it's sort of like hooks. And so when you go to the meat market, when you go to like the real meat market, right? Like in one of the third world countries, right? And they have the meat out there, and there's these big hooks, right? The meat hooks. And that's exactly what life, doing what I do, that's what it's like, right? Everything has their hook in you, and everybody's pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. But the saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's that kind of fulfillment. And so I'm going to share another story with you guys. Well, it's not so much a story, but when I was younger, when I had just started, coming back to Islam, I don't know if anybody, out there knows my journey, but when I had just started coming back to Islam and practicing, I figured out, what, I don't know how to interact with this outside world. Like, this it swallowed me whole. And so I realized that I made a dua, and I would make this dua all the time. And I asked Allah, I said, make my plan for me, your plan for me, so that I'm always content with the outcome. And so that was one of my duas. And like, I would make that after every salah. I would get up in the third of the night, like, just make your plan for me, my plan for me. So that whatever I'm doing, that's what you wanted me to do. And I'm content. I'm not fighting against the qadr. Right. And so, and so right now, even though I know there's a lot of things pulling at me, and there in any role, if you're a mom, you work from home, you do anything, there are going to be things pulling at you. But in anything where you find yourself being pulled in different directions, if you find that you're fighting against what's pulling you, that is not where you're supposed to be. And that's my honest opinion. That's not where you're supposed to be. But if you find that these things are pulling at you, and you're content with the amount of effort you give, you're content with just being in those roles, you love what you're doing, then that's where you're supposed to be. And so keep giving it your all. And, you know, sometimes you're going to have to give 10% here and 50% here. And sometimes you're going to have to give 70% here and 5% here, and just give a little bit every day. Give a little bit to each role, a little bit to each role. And, you know, check in so you know who needs more, what needs more from you. But as long as you are content with being pulled in those different directions, I think, you know, you found yourself and you found your niche, and you'll be fine, inshallah.
Inshallah, that's deep, you know. And there's a theme that has been permeating through a lot of the episodes, and it's what you just said. And it's you know, being content with what Allah's plan is for me. And you know, we just spoke to Tahira Talib episode 60, and
I
that
missed
was,
that.
girl, you gotta
I
please
do.
watch it. It's
I love
talking
her
about
energy.
yes, and it's talking about like janazah, end of life, all that good kind of stuff. But one of the things that she was talking about is, you know, we do similar work. So her and I are in the empowerment, you know, coaching space. And so that was that was what she had her focus on. And then she had a life event, you know, happen with the death of her, you know, husband. May Allah be pleased with him. I
Oh,
mean,
subhanallah.
and
I
it
mean,
totally turned her. And now she is helping, you know, widows, and she's helping with end of life planning and that kind of thing, but still empowering women. And so, you know,
that just choked
and
me up, subhanallah.
sis, listen to the episode, inshallah. I think the actual video is still up on the Facebook you know, channel here.
Okay.
So go watch it before it
Okay.
disappears or whatever. But subhanallah, her story you know, is amazing. And you know, when you just said what you just said, it's the same. Like, you know, Allah has a way of steering us. We have this, I'm doing this, and you know, all of this, and then Allah's like, nah, you got to do something that keeps you close to me. You can't.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna go too far,
Right. And
sweetie.
you're not going
Okay,
that route. We're not sending you over there.
because if you go over there, you might not come back. So I
Nope.
need you to look over here. Okay.
Yep.
Good job, sis. Right.
And you gotta,
So
and you have to learn to find the contentment. I mean, I think contentment, being content is automatic, but if you find that you are not content with something, and it's something beneficial, then it's a faith issue. And so you got to go a little bit deeper, right? You got to go a little bit deeper. You got to get up in the third of the night. And I think that's a mother's most powerful tool, because who's up in the third of the night? Right? Not the kids. Right? So you got, you know, and not the husband. If you marry, I don't know, you know, husbands sleep like logs. So not the husband and not the kids. Get up in the third of the night. That is your space for your planning. And I mean planning with your Lord, you know. So
yes, and that's your lifeline.
that's your
Dua is your
lifeline.
lifeline. You know, just think about the duas that you make for your children, right? I use that to hudge it. There, it's about my kids.
Listen.
99.9% of the time, that's who I'm up for, is them too.
Listen, if I say to myself, gee, I haven't cried in a long time. All right, let me get up in the third of the night, because I need to cry. I mean, it sounds crazy, but when you think about all the songs out there and all the music and everything they have, and they talk about, you know, people or stories or movies where they depict, you know, women crying in the bed or in the bathroom, like, all right, we got something good. Like, cry in salah, cry in dua. Like, you know, that's where you release that, and it's necessary. It's very necessary.
And very cleansing. Very, that's a cry that is very, very, very cleansing.
Alhamdulillah.
Listen, I can't
I
even share
start to
my
feel
prayer
guilty
rugs.
if it's been a long time and I haven't. I'm like, something ain't right. I need to check the post, check the weather.
Check the weather, mashallah. That's deep. Tahajjud babies. So we talk a lot
Listen,
about tahajjud around these parts. So jazakallah khair for, you know, bringing up that reminder. Last third in the
right,
night,
yeah,
tahajjud baby. It's
listen,
just do it. Just do it,
find it,
inshallah.
do it.
Yes.
Even if
So
you're not praying, get up. make the
Get
girl
up.
have a conversation.
Girl, we had another episode. This was with Melanie from Hot Hijab, way, way, way back. So this was like the first year of the podcast,
Hmm.
and she talked about that, and she talked about when we're not praying, how do we stay connected to our Lord? So another, I mean, gems are being dropped, so make sure you pick them up. Inshallah, these
Mashallah.
gems are
Listen.
amazing and hot. Okay,
You
so
still
make
get
sure
up
you
in the
pick them
third
up.
of the night. You just not, obviously you're not going through the ritualistic practices, that we do before we pray, but you get up in the third of the night, listen to Quran, you make dua, you still get down. Allah is still there. He still hears you. There's a narration, not even a narration, it's the ayat in the Quran where actually, it's not an ayah in the Quran. Let me correct that. It is a story from the Bible. It's a Bible story, and it's about Isa alayhi salam. And when he was he asked Allah, I believe. I hate to talk. Oh my God, you don't even know, because I get so confused with where did it come from, and I never want to misquote. But I'm gonna just give you the story, and then y'all can go and research and figure out where it comes from. All right, because that's not my, it's not my strong suit, right? Okay. So the story is that he was being, hung or whatever, and he cried out to Allah, and he asked Allah, he's like, why you forsake me? And Allah said, he didn't forsake him. Like, he hasn't forgotten you or forsaken you. That's actually in the Quran. Okay. Yeah, that's in the Quran. So he didn't forget you, nor has he forsaken you. And so if uh, this is one of the prophets, alayhi salam, and he is being, about to be killed, and he's thinking that, God has forgotten him. And here we are, mothers doing, God's work, the work that Allah has entrusted us to. And do you think that just because you're on your mints, Allah forgot about you? Like, you think because you're on your mints, like the doors of repentance and the doors of mercy and the doors of heaven are closed for you? Like, it's actually, if you look at it as a mercy, because what woman wants to get up, make wudu, and go through all the the rituals to leading to prayer if you are on your mints? You don't want to do that. So it's actually a mercy for us, but that doesn't mean that those doors are closed. Get up, talk to Allah, have a conversation with him. You can still, one of the rights of dua is that you dress properly and you turn in the direction of the Qibla. You can still do that. Put a hijab, because you want the angels to come in. Put a hijab on, turn in the direction of the Qibla, hold your hands up, make dua. It's very, I mean, it's a process, but it's real.
Listen, mashallah, yes, like, that's deep. And if you think about, like, when it's that time of the month, right? You think about how long it takes you. Some people are on their menses 3 days, some people are
Some
longer,
people go
right?
14 days. Like,
SubhanAllah, may Allah make it easy. And
I mean,
because it's like, imagine not doing anything for 14 days.
right.
I can't even imagine.
I couldn't even
I,
imagine.
I'm 3 to 4 days, right? That's
Right.
me, right? That's my time. And I feel so disconnected
Mm-hmm.
coming back. It takes me like 2 days to get back to where I
Right.
was prior. So it's like
Right. Because that
five
first
days
Fajr,
out of the
I'd be
month,
like,
I'm
oh,
down.
I forgot I had to. Sometimes, like, especially if it's like busy, man, I could be in school and the whole day would go by. And I'm like, oh shoot, like, I'm praying. Gotta get up.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
So you have to know the weather.
Girl, I'm telling you right now. Listen, that's gonna be the quote on the in the caption. Know the weather. Okay.
Know the
Jannah
weather.
Bayyan said, know the weather, inshallah. So what is your advice for women who want to pursue entrepreneurship but are apprehensive because they have additional roles and responsibilities on their plate that may take their time and attention?
Um, First of all, entrepreneurship is not for the weak, right? And so I say that to say, you have to know yourself, because I think uh, just in a lot of conversations that I've had with different women and sitting in on different classes, and even my personal journey, to some degree, you are, as an entrepreneur right now, the game is on in full view, right? You can see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, you got all the social medias, you have all these websites, you can type in any product, you can find someone who makes it, right? So there's a lot of I'm not going to call it competition, because that's not what it is. There's a lot of this, the market is saturated. That's the appropriate word, right? And so because the market is saturated, you might be sitting home saying, well, I can't do that because somebody else is doing that, or I don't have the time to really, make it look like, so and so's, or make it look fancy schmancy, or add a little razzle dazzle. And don't get me wrong, I know that stuff is important when you're trying to sell online, but at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable in you and your own skin, and what your strengths are. You have to be able to look around and say, these are my strengths. This is what I can do. This is what I can work with. Let me start here. And then take a little step. Today, you might be putting, 2% of your time into your craft or your entrepreneurship or your endeavor. 2%, right? You might just be sitting, writing down what you want to do, right? You may have just told your mom, or told a sister, or told your best friend, this is what I want to do. And that might be where you are in your journey. And then, tomorrow you might reach out to someone and say, or reach out to, I don't know, Alibaba's, or, one of the wholesale companies, just to find out, how much would it be to get, containers or something, just little. So every day, take a little step toward your goal, even if it doesn't look how you see it in your mind, how you want it to look. Just do what you have to do, and give. You can only give what you can give.
Facts. And all of this that you're doing makes a whole. All of what you're doing makes a whole. And I think what
Absolutely.
people think, they see you online, or they see me or another entrepreneur online, and they're like, man, that sister really has it together. I've been doing this for 6 years. And
Right,
prior
right.
to that 6 years, I worked in the corporate space for 20 plus years, right?
Right.
So I'm not new to this.
There's
I'm true to this.
training that has gone, like, this behind the scenes. I think it was Jay-Z. He was like, y'all see the end result. Like, y'all don't see all the no's. You don't see all of the disappointment. You don't see all of the effort and the sweat and the tears. You don't see all of that. Y'all
You
just
don't
see
see
what's,
those
in
days.
the forefront.
See those days I'm working from bed.
Huh?
Y'all don't see the days that I'm working from bed, like you just said. I am
In
I'm raising
pajamas
my
and a
hand.
bonnet. Okay.
It's done. And like you said, even if it's just that one thing that's getting done, even if it's just that one thing that's getting done,
And
inshallah.
forgive yourself. I wanted to say, and
Mhm.
forgive yourself, because I think I don't want women to measure themselves by other women. Right? Don't measure yourself by another woman. Like, for example, yeah, it might look fabulous and everything, but my car is a mess right now. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go get my car clean, but I'm not beating myself up. I'll get it. It'll happen. It will happen. I will find time to make that happen. But that doesn't mean that, maybe somebody does a video and, they're in their car and, all right, but why are you, it's not a comparison. It's not a competition. It's just your own personal best. And today, your own personal best might be that you got out of bed and you made breakfast for everybody. And that's okay. Push yourself, yes, but forgive yourself, absolutely.
You said brought up another point, and I want to address it just really quickly because in our space, so we're coming not only from the entrepreneurship space, female entrepreneurship, but Muslim female entrepreneurship. So although there are 2 billion plus Muslims on the planet, our community is still close knit, and we
Yep.
kind of know each other from all corners of the
Mm-hmm.
world. And you talked about competition, and I really want to address that really quickly because there is no stop competing. I am not Jannah. I could never be Jannah. I could never
Right.
do Pretty Life of a Mother. I could never do it, right? That Allah gave her that gift. Allah gave her the specific set of circumstances and just the story to be able
Right.
to charter that or champion that particular effort. I've got my own. Every woman has their own queendom and their own, gift that they have been given. And so it's not support Jannah or support Halima.
Right.
It's support Jannah and support
Right.
Halima. And that's I just needed to say that point. And okay, we're talking about Muslims here, but I want to go to like a Nicki and a Cardi B, right? I'm a Cardi B fan. I actually like them both.
Listen,
I'll be
I
honest.
actually like both of them for different reasons. I like both of them and I'm talking, when I say like, I'm talking about their public persona. I don't really know anything much about their music, but their public persona, who they are on social media, who they are when they're doing interviews and things like that. And I like Nicki because, first of all, Cardi's from the Bronx and Nicki's from Queens, right? And so you kind of see those two dynamics. I don't know anybody on here from New York. You understand. You see those two dynamics in their personality. And so there is a poshness to Nicki that I like. Even though she's, she can be raw and whatever, there's a poshness that I actually identify with. And then you have Cardi B, who there's a realness there. There is, regardless of, I know it's for TV or whatever, but there is a realness there. And as a mom, I was just thinking about her the other day. She was at Sky Zone in New York. And she was with, her children. She was taking a video of her children or whatever. And I saw like in the back of the video, you could see like some Muslims in the background. I'm just like, yeah, she's at Sky Zone. And those sisters look like familiar. And I'm like, I bet they don't even know that that's Cardi B there, with her children with her daughter at Sky Zone. And Offset was there and everything. And I'm just saying, like, she chose motherhood. I don't know anything about all them other women. Or, I don't know Nicki. I know she has a child now, but that girl chose motherhood, and hat off to her. Like, she is a mother. All of the whatever she says out of her, whatever. At the end of the day, much respect for Cardi B. She is a mother and she does it. And I admire that about her.
Mashallah, mashallah, I love it. And I agree. I agree with what you just said, because like I like Nicki, I like Nicki from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I like Cardi, like you said, from like a familial, from a relationship, being real and authentic.
Yes.
And that woman is actually very smart.
She
Cardi B?
actually is listen.
Yeah, y'all can't see us because we're on video, but I am nodding my head and I
She
have
is
my little
very smart.
hand on my chin.
Very
Like,
smart.
that
Okay.
woman
And
is
I mean,
smart.
like, we're not going to say book smart because I don't know. I'm not her teacher. I don't know. But
Right.
that girl has a lot of sense, and she allows her sense to guide her. And that's what comes through. That's what I like about her. And that comes through.
I love it. I love it. Just want to say assalamu alaikum to anyone who joined our live video, and also to those who will listen to the podcast episode later. Thank you so much for being here. I see assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Good morning, all that good kind of stuff. My bestie is on here, the one who we talked about a little bit early. So, bestie, please, please, please watch this episode. I chatted about you a little bit right in the middle, in the beginning, towards the middle, inshallah. So, is there an ayah, hadith, or quote that governs your life? You've dropped a lot of gems. You've given us a lot of ayah, and I do want to encourage you. Anytime you hear ayah or hadith, or even just a quote on here, investigate further.
Please.
Please, yes. So
Please.
go ahead, please. Oh, someone
Woo!
said, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. I'm enjoying this. We're enjoying it
Mashallah,
too.
mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, you're enjoying it.
So is there a hadith? So there is a hadith that is kind of like one of my gems. And I'll share it with you guys. It's I try, Allah knows best. Allah knows best. And I pray that, when I stand before him, he says, yes, you tried to live by this, and this is your entry. So there's a story. There's a man who he was blind. I think he was blind, and he was, poor, and he didn't have much. And so he would make dua. He would, constantly make dua to Allah, that Allah give him more. Right. And so one day, I think it was an angel who came in the form of a man. And, he said, are you sure that you want more? Are you sure that you want more? And the man said, yes, I'm sure. And he said, okay, because, there's going to be a time when, you have to be, you got to be grateful for Allah giving you more. Right. And he said, yes, I want more. I want, like, give it to me. I'm ready. I'm ready. Right. And Allah gave it to him. Right. And so years went by, and he had wealth, he had his eyesight, he had, he was the guy. Right. And then years and years later, the same angel came back to him in the same situation that he was in, um, years prior. Right. And he asked him for sadaqah, and the guy turned him away. He was like, like, get out of here. He turned him away. And Allah brought him back down to the place where he was before. And so I know maybe y'all thought it was going to be a happy ending, right? But there's an extreme lesson in this. And I know, there's a lot of memes and everything out there with this, to whom much is given, much is expected. And that is the theme. That is the lesson that I get from that. And I try, and Allah knows best, to whom much is given, much is expected. And, the other day we were walking in the mall, and we were walking through, I stopped at Sephora, the Sephora that was in JCPenney. And we were walking through the mall, and there was a group of kids, teenagers. And, I didn't recognize any of them, but one of them was like, "Salam alaikum." And I'm like, oh, my former student, this from years ago, like my second year teaching. He was like, "Sister Jannah." And I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "They're not letting us in the mall, because we're, they it was like during winter break or whatever." And he was like, "They're not letting us in the mall unless we walk in with an adult." And so I said, I'm looking at the crew, and they're just kids. They're kids, 16, 17 years old. They're about a year older than a year younger than my son, so 15, 16 years old. And I'm looking at them, and they were just kids, and I knew, for the most part, they weren't getting in trouble. And honestly, I didn't know. Let me say that. I didn't know. But I'm saying to myself, imagine seeing an adult that can help you and you actually getting brave enough to ask that adult, "Can we walk in with you?" Right. And that took a lot out of him. And like, he was one of my bad kids, and he knows he was one of my bad kids. And it was just so funny that he felt brave enough, and I'm walking with my husband, I'm walking with the kids and everything. And it's just so funny that he felt brave enough to ask that. And I was like, you know what? Come on. And so my husband was like, "Oh, come on, you being a pushover." And I'm just like, nah, like, anytime, like, that's the way I can give my compassion, because I'm a mother, and I know that his mother sent him to the mall to go hang out with his friends, and they can't even get in. And I talked to them. I said, if I hear anything, because now I know who you are, and I can easily find out who y'all are. If I hear anything happen at this mall involving you, we're gonna have. He was like, "Wallahi, wallahi, we good. We just going shopping." I'm like, okay. And I was thought in my mind, like, I need to reach out to his mother to make sure, everything was straight. But no news is good news, right? Everything was straight. And for me, it's moments like that when you only get one time to get a moment like that. You only get one time, right? To get a moment like that. And that was minor. In the grand scheme of things, that was minor. But you only get one time. You only get one time when you're walking in the store and you see, a hungry person, and you got money you got money in the bank. Buy them something. You only get one time to do that, because you never know that time that you don't do it might be, when Allah is going to humble you in that moment. And we're not perfect. We ask Allah for the mercy, and we ask Allah to pardon and overlook our shortcomings, because we're not perfect and we are going to falter. But the reminder benefits the believer. And when you have a moment and you're walking and you see that, immediately jump to action. Immediately jump to action. The only thing that I regret nowadays is that, cash is not really very popular. And so when you see the people, on the street asking for money, we don't have cash anymore. But to that, I say, you know what? I'm going to be the first one to go buy some gift cards, $5, $10 gift cards, and just start giving them out, because we have an obligation, because to whom much is given, much is expected. May Allah, increase us. Whew, I said a mouthful.
Allahumma ameen, but I think it's so necessary. And, what I heard was being intentional. And I also heard, that any platform that we've been given, any platform, motherhood, being a teacher, being a woman, a front-facing, woman of faith, Muslim woman, right?
Mhm.
It are amanas. This has been entrusted
Yep.
to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Yep.
And, what you just said, I don't know if it's a hadith or what it is, but it talks about Allah is going to ask you on Yom Al-Qiyamah, why didn't you clothe me? Why didn't you
Yep.
feed me?
Why didn't
Why
you
didn't you
visit
do
me?
me? Why
Yep.
didn't you
Why didn't
visit
you
me?
feed me?
And short window, I have so many stories where I could just attest to what you just said, of that short window that Allah gives you to serve his servant.
Yep.
And I remember one time, I'm not going to tell the full story, but I remember one time the window was very short, and I walked past it, and then I heard, Fisabilillah, Fisabilillah, sister, Fisabilillah, and I turned around. And I walk fast. If anybody's ever been with me, I be out, okay, gone. And I was rushing to the masjid. This is when it happened. I was rushing to the masjid to get there before the angels closed their book.
Right.
Once the imam
I
gets
need
on
to
the
be
minute,
on
that's
that
it.
list.
Listen, I need it, right? So I was rushing to the masjid, and all I heard, the sister asked, I saw her in front of me, and then backwards it was like I heard Fisabilillah, sister, Fisabilillah, and I was just like, this could be the one. This
Right.
could be the one. Let
This
me
could be
turn,
the
and I
one.
turned back around. And so I'm sharing that story to say, a test. It's a very short window. It's
I
very,
have
very,
no
very
idea
short
why
window.
I'm like, I have tears in my eyes, but alhamdulillah, but it is. It really is. And I really just ask Allah to, increase us so that we
Ameen.
can, give, and not
Ameen.
increase us so that we can have,
Ameen. 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 Yeah, when Allah gives you more, don't increase your level of, light living, increase your level of giving.
Absolutely.
Ameen.
Absolutely.
Ameen.
And
Ameen.
and the
Ameen.
and the other thing will follow. I think people don't realize that, like, the more Allah gives you, you have no choice. If you're making smart moves, right? You making smart money moves, like, you are going to you're gonna be increased. You're gonna eventually, get, the time will come where your car is gonna get an upgrade, your home is gonna get, like, those things will come, but you have to always keep your eye on the real prize. I know that sounds cliche, but it is so true. So true. And the eye on the prize is the hereafter.
I mean, Jannah, the akhirah, that's the real prize. Are we building
Absolutely.
those bricks, in our home in Jannah? Look, we got Jannah on the podcast. Are we building our bricks? Listen.
May Allah make that our home, please.
Ameen, Allahumma ameen. And the highest level. Pray for Jannah
Amen.
for those. Don't pray for the level you think you could get.
No,
Pray for the level you want,
no. Listen, the world is ghetto right now. I want the highest level. Like, I'm living here in this hood. Like, no, I want it all. I implore Allah. Like, I want the highest. Me and
Ameen.
all of my kids. And I think, I
Ameen.
often laugh at Ibrahim's dua in the Quran, and Sir Ibrahim, where he asked Allah, he said, guys, some of my, was it Ibrahim? Yeah, it was Ibrahim, where he said, guys, some of my children. I'm just like, that's the difference between a man and a woman, because he knew some of his kids wasn't built for it. Wasn't he? I'm bugging right now, because I'm like, what? This is my memory. It's always like this, so I do apologize. But it is one of them. I believe it was Ibrahim, and he said, "Guys, some of my children," and I'm just like, whoo. Like, that's the difference between a man and a woman. Like, I go to Allah and I'm like, all of them, because, a man, he sees, what, some of my sons just not built for it, right? Some of them just don't get, and I'm just like, oh Allah, just all of them, and the highest level, like, all of us, and Allah is Ar-Rahman.
Yes, he is. Ameen, Allahumma ameen. And he can change. He's the turner of hearts, and he can
Yes.
change it on a dime. You know, I bear witness. That's all I'm gonna say. I
Yep.
bear witness. I bear witness. I bear witness. So, my sister, what does it mean to be boss hijabipreneur? This is you, not me, not my definition. This is Genevieve's definition of what it means to be a boss hijabipreneur, inshallah.
Think to find contentment with the decree of Allah. And I know that sounds I keep saying that, but it does. But I like to go in and go for the deeper meaning, right? So we say a lot of we have a lot of memes, we do a lot of cliches, but I like to kind of peek behind the curtains and take out what it actually means. And when you think about your deeper that contentment, right? When you think about being content with Allah's decree, being content with your level of effort. You were talking about standing in your authentic space. You were talking about, you know what, as a teacher, high school teacher, I work in a school where I am the only, aside from the substitute teachers and the hall monitors, I am the only African American one, the only African American person, and the only Muslim. That's two different entities, and being able to sit in a meeting and saying, raising my hand and, hey, uh X, Y, and Z, that's my authentic space. And and sitting with my husband, and for me personally, being married to, a student of knowledge, and the respect that I have for his wisdom and his knowledge. And at the same time, when he says something, I'm just like, I don't agree with that. Right? That takes a lot to sit in and be content with where you are. And I can't say that I'm always right, but at the end of the day, it does take a lot to even sit in a room. Like, I come from a family of musicians. My entire family are musicians. And nobody, and I'm talking about, my father's side, and none of them actually, aside from my cousins and things, but my immediates, my siblings, they don't practice. I have one sibling from my father's children who practice, and that takes walking into the home, and there's dogs, and there's pets and things around, and there's music, and there's this, and everybody's a singer, and everybody does this, and just being able to sit in my authentic space, like, this is who I am. I don't have to impose that on anybody, but I'm not going to absorb what they are. Like, I am grateful to be at an age now, and at a place, because it's not about age, at a place where I'm fluid. I'm not, outside is not affecting me. It's just, I found peace in my heart. And that is what it means to be a boss hijabi. Find peace in your heart. Like, if you are like writing and that's what you do, you're an author, write your heart out. I'm not saying you got to go and publish and market and everything, but write your heart out. Find peace. If you are, that entrepreneur, and you know how to set up businesses, or you're a boss, you're a manager, you're this. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I am. Right? I'm a manager. I'm really great at managing. And so, let me get this done. Let me get that done. Let me, get this person in on it, get this person in on it, make sure that person. And that's what I do. And so, but I find contentment in that. That's not to say that the next person, is going to find the same level of contentment. Don't aspire to be a manager. Don't aspire to be a writer. Don't aspire to be an entrepreneur if that's not who you are. Be who you are, and that is when you are a boss. When you have mastered whatever domain you excel in, and that's what it means to me. And I know that's like, but that's me.
Nah, man, that's it right there, man. I was listening to I Am Tabitha Brown, her book
Yes.
that she has. I was walking, so I take my little walks in the afternoon, and I was
Hmm.
walking and I was listening to it, and that was one of the things that she was talking about. She was talking about um being your full authentic self, and not worrying about, in the world of social media, we're being pulled in 40,000 different directions. And if you want to be successful, do this, do this, do this. That may not be you. That may not fit
Yep.
your personality, may not
Yep.
fit your story, your past, your history.
Mm-hmm.
It may not even fit where you're going. And so, finding your lane, like you said, being content, with the qadr of Allah. Look, Dhuhr, the alarm for Dhuhr just literally just goes off, mashallah. It's reminding us, alhamdulillah. And so, just being content where you are, being content in the direction that you're going, being content, just all of it, contentment. I believe that you are going to love the quote that I have chosen. So every week I choose a quote. I
Uh-oh.
haven't spoken to Jannah. I don't. I didn't know this is the direction that the conversation was going to go. None of it. But I think that this quote is befitting. Inshallah. I'm gonna put this up here for you to see this comment by another one of my faves, Sister Teal. She is just so
That's
beautiful,
right. And
mashallah.
she is just
Um,
pure light, mashallah.
may Allah give her the highest level of Jannah for her
Ameen, ya Rab.
efforts. She's one of those people, you look, wherever you look, there she is. And
Yep.
so may Sister Teal, I love you and may Allah reward you. So she says, our uniqueness is our thing that makes us whole. And she
That's
didn't
right.
say thing. She said thing, y'all. Make sure you
All
put a little
right.
twang
That's
on
right,
it,
though.
okay? I love it, mashallah. So my inspirational quote of the week: we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And that quote is by Maya Angelou. Again, this quote is befitting of you, Jannah, your
Mashallah.
community, and this episode. So, taking the life we've been given and making the best of it, taking advantage of the opportunities as they arise, and understanding where we may be now is not where we'll stay. Never settle for less than what you feel you deserve and Allah has told you you can have. Jazakallah khair for
Absolutely.
being here, Jenna. Please let people
Thank
know
you.
how they can connect with you, how they can grab their pretty kit, because they can still get their January pretty kit. Am I right?
Yes, we have some left for this month. Yes. If you go to theprettymother.com, it should come up. Definitely get it before it's gone. They usually go in the first week, but alhamdulillah, I do have some in this week. So definitely grab it. You can reach out to me via email, jb@theprettymother.com, or you can hit me up on social media. I actually answer DMs. So you can hit me up. It's the Pretty Mama on Instagram.
Love it, love it, love it. And all of these links that she just discussed will be in the episode. So when you come back to the episode, you'll be able to click on them and you'll be able to connect with Jenna for those of you that will be listening to the podcast later on. So Jazakallah khair for being here, Jenna. May
Thank you.
Allah continue to, and increasingly, so not just continue, but increasingly bless you, bless your endeavors. May He place all of the barakah in them, and may all of your efforts tip the scale in your
I
favor
mean,
on
right,
Yom
Yaki, you don't
al-Qiyamah.
even understand.
Amen.
Mashallah, mashallah. I
Amen.
admire you so much. So thank you so much for having me. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So for all of you, join me for episode 68, Getting to the
Woo.
Bag, How to Create a Financially Sustainable Community. And we just talked about that in Atlanta. And I felt like that was something that we needed to share. So inshallah, I'll be making that a podcast episode coming soon, inshallah. So jazakallah khair
Alhamdulillah.
for being here. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.